Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Plus.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Welcome, everyone, to Silver Sunday. I was going to say, what are we looking at Tommy there?
I have no idea. There we go.
I thought I was muted.
Were you making sounds during the video?
No, just now I said hello awful loudly.
Oh.
Oh, dude.
Oh, welcome everyone. This Silver Sunday on November 7. And for some of you, particularly maybe you West Coasters, who might be a little challenged trying to figure out daylight savings time, it is the regular time here. It is 8 p.m. So on the East Coast. So welcome to Silver Sunday. I am Roland. I am the host of this motley crew tonight. So introductions. Curtis, tell people who you are.
Sure.
Everybody needs to pay attention to who Curtis is.
Oh, right.
It's an important night.
I usually just ignore it.
You usually just ignore it.
Well, I'm glad you asked. No, I'm Curtis Fujita. I'm the creative director at Silverline. I'm also a comic creator and a Kung Fu instructor. So I'm also working on my comic book for Silverline, Shadow Ghost, the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. So that is me. And I'll hand it over to Mr. Clinton, please.
What do I have to pay attention to there? What did I miss?
There's going to be a test at the end, by the way.
Yeah. Is there going to be some sort of dropped code? Yeah, I know.
You better take some notes.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, okay.
You
Hi.
came apart.
Oh, who am I? I'm the penciler. I'm just a penciler. Hence the cap. I'm the penciler.
Extraordinaire.
Champion of Miss Fury. I've recently just finished, or we've just finished, the Cat and Mouse story for the Christmas special.
Yeah.
Which is coming out, I don't know, Christmas.
Black Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, and also penciling the last issue of Trumps, and there's a dog. So and yeah, I think that's,
It took me a minute. Picture last
I
in
think
front,
that's
and there's a
it. I
dog.
think that's what
What?
I'm penciling for the guys at the moment. Yeah, yeah. So that's me.
So you stay pretty busy.
Yeah, I'm busy. Very busy.
Busy fella.
Roberta, Ruby,
Hello.
tell people who you are.
Hi, I'm Roberta Conroy. I am a colorist for Silverline Team Up champion Miss Fury, working over these guys here,
I
Peter
apologize.
and Thomas. Anyway, I'm doing that. Just working on the most recently working on the Christmas special that will be out at Christmas time or by Christmas time. Right?
Yes, it will be out by Christmas time. I think you need to give, as we've done here, but that page you posted in our
You wanna
private
share
group
it?
page.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool. Thank you.
yeah. So it
Pete,
needs to
Pete
be.
doesn't need to see it. Pete doesn't need to see how cool it is. Turn your screen off. Oh, you saw it already.
I've
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm on the
Why
group
would you
site.
not
I just
see it?
catch up when I wake up.
Oh, you're in bed. I got you. Tommy, tell people who you are.
My name is Thomas Florimonte Jr. What I'm going by now is Thomas Halloween is cool because Pete doesn't think it is. Florimonte and
You know Halloween's over now, right?
Halloween was like last year.
No, it's not.
No,
no, it's not. It's still going on. I'm inking a bunch of stuff for Silverline, including the Trump books. Going to be working on issue 4 shortly. Doing jumping over to rejects now, so we can get issue number 1 of that knocked out, and then we're going to get on back onto the team up book, and that's over Mr. Pete. So yeah, so like Pete said, the Trump's 4, so I'll be inking him on finishing that up, and that's going to look great. He drew way too many. Pete got the issue where all the fighting and stuff is going on. I just was hoping somebody else would ink that, but it'll look great.
Don't lie.
And then we got the inking of the I got 2 stories in the Christmas thing, right? So finishing those, I'm going to be if I get to share anything, I'm going to be inking on finishing up the last page, and so Roberta can knock it out. Look at that page.
Yeah,
Look at that page.
Gorgeous page.
Oh, yeah.
This is the cat and mouse story.
Order of Kablam digital printing. There we go. I'll be done. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah, so this
That's
is
beautiful.
So this is really cool. Poor Santa got beat up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on in the special.
You know,
I think so. Yeah.
And I like the Florimonte's building.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Thanks, Pete. I appreciate you putting that in there. That was so cool.
Was neat.
I think we were at one point going to call it Flottimonte or something.
We were. Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about making it money.
Yeah.
I think he's tired.
He is tired there. He's had enough
He's
running.
tired.
I mean,
She's like, come on. You're like half my age.
Yeah.
All right.
The writing is cool. The inking is cool. The coloring is cool. I don't know. Pencils are all
It's
right.
all working. Yeah, I'm excited to have this out.
You killed it, Pete. You did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know.
I'll give it a few comments because this one is so funny. Infrafan says, to be fair, Santa has been overdue for a beating.
Poor Santa.
Poor guy.
Never the real Santa, though. That was like a helper.
So we do have a handful of comments. Steve Brown Art says, hi, what's up, Stephen Brown? Good to see you here, man. Thank you for joining us so much. Aaron Humphrey says, interrupting Curtis now.
That's good.
I'm about to say something.
He says, I don't even need to be there to interrupt Curtis. That's right.
I should jump in.
Infrafan says, evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everyone used their bonus hour for something good. What did you guys use your bonus hour for?
I was sleeping.
What's
Sleeping,
the bonus
same
hour?
here.
I didn't quite get. Or
Mimosas?
like I got one.
Wait, where did you say you didn't get an hour?
No, I feel like I didn't.
Wait,
but
welcome
it
to
was
California, right?
there. No, we definitely did fall back. So that was good.
That's for sure.
Yeah, does it work the same in California? I did have a question for Pete about the daylight saving times and all that kind of stuff. Does it work the same there? Did your time change there like it does?
Mine changed last week.
Ah,
Okay.
so you're already living on that extra time.
I'm already living in the future. Yeah.
You're so cool. Now we just caught up with you, or whatever it is. I don't know how it works. It doesn't.
Yeah. Curtis is Moses. Everyone said Halloween is never over.
Ah, there you go.
So we had a pretty funny exchange in our little private group today, and we'll talk. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it first before I show this cool video that Tommy made. So you guys, if you follow Tommy on the socials, and you should, you've seen him post videos from his bicycle rides, right? So. So Tommy and my wife have kind of been conspiring behind the scenes a little bit to get me. My wife's just trying to get me a house, I think, right?
I think
but I've been okay, yeah, I got a bike. Well, let's go, blah blah blah. So I joined Tommy today, right? I get out there at 12 o'clock. I'm thinking, yeah, we'll go ride bikes for an hour, and it'll be fun. I'll work up a big sweat. I'll get tired. I'll be sore. Blah blah blah.
Have some fun. Exercise a little bit.
Right? Yeah. Talk comics, talk bicycles, right? 3 o'clock. I'm out there going, dude. And so one of Tommy's regular friends just happened to be there and joined us for the ride. So we come back to the parking lot at 3 o'clock because there's a bunch of trails that start from that place. And dude looks at Tommy and says, "Hey, you want to go for the second lap?" And I'm like, "I am out of here. 3 hours was the first lap. I am done." So I come home and the wife's got an Epsom salts. She fixes me up an Epsom salts bath. Yes, I love her so dearly. And so she set me up, right? She had this little tray in there, and I brought in my tablet with the intent, well, I could watch a Netflix show. I brought in my book. I was just going to soak it all up. Hour and a half later, I'm like, what? I fell asleep in there and I didn't touch any of that stuff. And my legs were cramping. I could not straighten my right leg out at all because it would cramp so bad. Wow. Right. Oh, no. And so, I'm looking at the stream and like, Curtis like, oh, I'm drinking mimosas. Blah, blah. Tommy's like, oh, I'm having fun. We went to Denny's
that had dinner.
Right.
You're not going to be able to share the picture you sent to us, though. Can you?
Probably not.
Blur some of it out.
It was awesome.
So before we let Curtis talk about the merch there, I'm going to show this video. Tommy made a really cool video, and so we're going to show it. So you guys,
it's an app called Relive, is what it is, and so I'm going to make another video. I recorded a bunch of 360 stuff, so I'm going to put that on into something probably here in the next little bit. But that little one is.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll be able to see the path we took. So the first one, we were along the street. So it's real straight, right? We go basically up and then over and then kind of back. And then the next time you see, we go squiggly, 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 squiggly. But then when we get back to the back, that's when I leave. And then the other part, the super squiggly part is where I'm in my truck going, oh, driving home. Right?
Yeah, like that first part where we were going, super slow, trying to make sure Roland was not running in the trees and all that kind of stuff. And it took 3 hours. And then all of a sudden, Dave and I went back out there for another 10 miles in like 20 minutes. We just zipped through the rest of it.
Yeah. So here you go. This is a cool little video here.
That's
That looks like a ways.
a fun little app. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I didn't realize it was quite so far, but when we were done with our part, Tommy's like, that was 10 miles. I'm like, 10 miles? Oh my gosh! Yeah. And the thing I figured out, and Tommy was telling me about this. The thing I figured out, it's not that hard to ride on the pavement, right? It's not that hard to ride on the bike trails because they're paved and it's pretty straight, and you can kind of pedal a little bit and then coast, right? And, so it's not that hard. Riding in those dirt trails, that was tough.
Yeah, it's a lot of everything.
Running me through like quicksand, and I'm like, pedal out of this.
I mean, not only do you have to be able to pedal, you're going up hills and down hills and up little curves, but it's a lot of upper body stuff too, because you're having to manhandle the bike or woman handle the bike if you're a lady around all the curves, and then you got to, it's a little more than just getting on the bike and going straight, at 20 miles an hour. I mean, that's hard to do too. But when you get out in the woods, mountain bike type stuff, it's a little. And people are going mountain biking. There's no mountains in Florida. Anytime you get in the dirt, that's called mountain bike riding. Just in case, before somebody posts something saying you guys don't have mountains. Well, you're right, we don't.
Yeah, it was fun though. There was a lot of people out there where we went. We even as we were coming back, we happened upon a family. There was a mound there. And they were jumping it, and they were they were ramping over it. So it was kind of fun to see. So anyway, I am curious as to how stove up to quote my wife. I'm curious as to how stove up I'm going to be tomorrow in class.
But is that being tired? Stove up? I haven't heard that term.
Yeah,
Stove up. Really? You haven't heard that word? What? Tommy, you've heard it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Pete, what about you? You heard stove up? Well, I think it must be a Southern thing.
Okay.
So stove up just kind of means, you're tired and your joints are all, your muscles are all stove up. They can't move. You can't move because you're sore.
What is this?
That's not a real thing. No one says
Not a
that.
real thing. It is a real thing.
Being tore up, like that's similar.
No, see, tore up means something different.
Okay. Okay.
No, yeah.
Stove
up. Yeah, I'm all stove up. So anyway, so Roberta, you want to share? You got some coloring you can share while
Oh, I don't know which coloring thing to work on, but I can share anything.
Okay. So while you're figuring that out, I got a joke, and then I'm going to pass the baton to Curtis, I think.
Uh-oh.
So a trucker stops at a red light, and a woman catches up. The blonde jumps out of the car, runs up to his truck, knocks on the door, and the trucker lowers his window, and she says, "Hey, you're losing some of your load." So light turns green, he takes off. At the next red light, the same thing happens. All out of breath, the blonde is a blonde joke. My dad posted this. My dad loves blonde jokes, right? Blonde jumps out of her car, runs up, knocks on the truck door again. She says, "Hey, you're losing some of your load," right? So the light turns green. The trucker speeds up, runs to the next light. He stops, gets out of his truck, and runs to the woman's car and knocks on her door. And he says, "Hey, my name is Kevin. It's winter in Iowa, and I'm driving the salt truck."
Oh. Why, oh, why?
So we don't see too many, growing up in Mississippi,
not around.
I didn't see too many salt trucks. I don't think I've ever seen one down here.
No.
We didn't see too many salt trucks in Mississippi, because we didn't need it, right? So
I'm sure
Steve
they
Brown
have it
says,
up in the mountains.
What's that?
I'm sure they have it up in the mountains.
I would imagine, yeah.
Because those are
Steve Brown says, "I've been working on my campaign. I now have a poster available along with the comic. And if anyone has not got the perk for a copy of Crypts and Legends, you can now get both the comic and the poster in a bundle," right? Stephen Brown, how much time you have left on that?
Can you post a link?
Yeah, he did last week. I think Stephen, post the link again.
Yeah.
Aaron says, I have mountains, exploding mountains sometimes. That's right. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Aaron lives up near Mount St. Helens.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
which
I
and they
bet they
really
got
do.
some good trails to ride.
Yeah. So Pete, what about you went to London?
I went to the
Con?
MCN London Comic Con. Yes.
There you go. How was that? Give us a little convention report. I know we got a lot of little pre report, but give us the official public report.
Yeah, no, I made money.
Oh, great.
That's I guess that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yep. So did you meet anybody? Did you get to hang out with anybody? Did you get to meet any artists that you had kind of wanted to meet or see any artist pals or?
Yes. Oh, I met Bernard Chang.
Oh, cool.
Bernard. Sorry, Bernard.
I was going to say, I always thought it was
American,
Bernard. Yeah.
Bernard Chang. Yeah. I met him very briefly, and he did a talk or presentation about John Paul Leon.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were such good friends.
Who?
John Paul Leon. John Paul Leon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he passed, right? Didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. About a year ago.
I don't understand the last part. You're saying John
Paul Leon.
Oh, John. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm hearing John Polion, and I'm like, what's
Polion?
John Polion.
I met opposite me was Lee Townsend, who is an inker for Marvel and DC and whoever.
Cool.
So we've been following each other on Instagram, on social media for a while. So it's nice to meet him.
Cool.
That's about it, really.
So what about? I'm trying to think of some folks I worked with over there. What about you know a fellow by the name of Stephen Baskerville?
I don't know. No, he wasn't there as far as I know.
Okay.
Artist Alley was quite small, unfortunately.
Oh, really? That's too bad.
Yeah. So it wasn't loads of people that Gary Erskine was there, but I don't know him.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
Is he British?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what about Andrew Wildman? You know, big Transformers guy now.
I don't know if he was there. I didn't see.
Okay.
The thing is, once you're at your table, you don't really get out much.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
As you know.
But yeah, absolutely. But you know, one of the things that I enjoy most about conventions is being able to see people like that you don't normally get to see and to meet others who that
was sort of my hope, but no, it wasn't a great deal of that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Going on, unfortunately.
That's too bad.
I probably would do it again.
Yeah.
But my expectations would be different.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to get.
Did you do any commissions or anything like that while you're at your table?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, not many though. It wasn't a huge original art crowd, unfortunately, and that's where I tend to make most of my money.
Oh yeah.
Print buyers certainly, comic book buyers sometimes.
Yeah. So we probably won't chase this rabbit now, but when you say print buyers, you mean kind of like from the print jockeys that got all these print.
They see a picture they really like, and I make prints of my stuff, of some stuff. I don't have many. I don't tend to sell a lot of prints, so I don't invest a lot of money in it. But I sold out a few of those, so
nice.
That helps.
Good.
That helped. Next one would be better.
Yeah, there you go. So would you say because you've done this one before, right?
This is the first time I've done this show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I've been in America for the last 3 years, so I've not been able to do it.
Okay.
So the chance to do it, I thought, a good bit of a London show. It's like the London show, and unfortunately, no, look, if you like it, you like it. I think it could be more comic orientated for Comic Con.
Yeah, I think a lot of us comic people kind of have those thoughts about quote unquote comic conventions in general. The emphasis tends to not be on the comics so much as the properties.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, though. Do you think it may have been, and this is not what the subject for tonight is, but do you think that it was because of you guys are getting back in the swing of things and stuff, and it was just a little slow going because people aren't getting out nearly as much as they are here. Do you think
Perhaps,
that had
yeah. I
something to
think
do with it?
maybe there weren't as many artists there because they're not going anywhere yet. There's certainly no American, or apart from Bernard Chang, there were no Americans there that I saw, and I think it probably coincided with some big conventions in America at the same time, and also you can't fly over really.
Yeah.
So perhaps, I mean, Artist Alley was really nice, spaced out. It had lots of space, big tables, and that was cool.
Felt safe and all that good stuff. That's great.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So how would you say attendance was? You think it was for that convention? It was
it was sold out.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Okay,
that's great.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't know if they've reduced the number of tickets or
Gotcha.
or just to keep people spaced out.
Right.
There was
So instead of selling 100,000,
loads
they
of
only did
cosplay.
70,000 and still sold out.
Yeah. Everything was spread out a lot more, so that might have made it look a little emptier than you'd think because people aren't packed together. They were really spread out. All the stalls and tables and stuff, and the alleyways were really wide. So,
by any chance, do you have anyone come up and say how much they love the Silverline team up?
I sold a few.
Oh,
great.
Excellent!
That's great.
That's fantastic.
I sold a few. That was the book that I was pushing.
Excellent.
Did you get anyone at least give you any comments on it?
No.
Yeah.
Any
It
autographs?
wasn't a huge
How cool the colors were?
unfortunately. It was hard trying to get rid of the comic books and the stuff.
Yeah. Did it require you to be masked, or was everybody pretty much unmasked?
This is a good question, actually. All the artists and everything, when you're at Artist Alley, we were all masked. We were told it was compulsory; you had to wear a mask, and that's no problem. I'm happy to do that.
Right.
Yep.
Walking around, weren't they?
Really?
Coming up to the table, no mask.
How's
Okay,
that
sure. The rules here are, it's not a law. It's your personal choice.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but the convention said that they expected you to be
Yeah.
masked. You had to have masks.
Yeah. So not just you, but they expected everybody to be
That's
masked.
how I took it. But
Okay.
people are walking around without them on. I guess it doesn't match with their cosplay, you see. So.
Yeah. I talked to somebody I know. I won't mention the name of the university. Someone around here, and they said that the university has decided to lift their mask because Tommy and I are in Florida, so pretty much no places require mask anymore, and except for my universities are still kind of hanging on to the mask mandates. My university still does it, so all students and faculty and staff have to wear it. What this guy was telling me, the smaller college north of us, said they have done away with the mask, mandatory mask for students, but they kept it for the faculty and staff.
Yeah.
It's like, wait.
Yeah.
How come the students get to run around without, with no mask, but we still have to wear it? That doesn't make any sense.
You know what that's for? Is that's liability, right? That's
exactly what it's for.
It's not about any health issue. It's about them protecting themselves from getting sued.
What good old American CYA, right?
Oh yeah. A lot of people in the upper echelons of almost any business organization. That's how they get promoted. It's not doing your job. It's just CYA, let everybody else fall by the wayside, and eventually you're in charge.
That's right. Yeah. So I know that it's a thing that keeps coming up at my university. It's like, okay, when everything else is opened up, everything else is quote unquote kind of back to normal as normal as it can be. When are we, meaning our university, when are we gonna to make that move too? And the university just keeps saying, not yet. Almost, maybe next month, and maybe next month, and maybe next month. So,
well, Disney's still inside. You have to be masked up. But if you're outside and not inside like rides in buildings and
so if you're walking around, you don't have to have a mask on. But once you go inside an amusement, okay, all right,
yeah,
interesting.
No, but I'm not sure about Universal. I'm not sure what they're doing.
Yeah.
I would think it's the same.
That's Florida. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So, all right. So let's move on to our subject at hand. All right. So tonight, Curtis is going to lead us. Curtis has some ideas that we're all going to kick around here. And he the idea is basically, how do we get comics and pop culture back on track? Now, if anyone has followed sales, I know you keep. I saw someone post the overall sales of comics, and Rob Liefeld said, comics are healthy or something like that. And it was the overall sale. And the thing about it is, it was adjusted for inflation. And so it wasn't real dollars. And so I'm like, I don't know. But the thing I keep looking at is I keep going to, Comic-Con and the IC, what was that other one that reports the sales figures, the real sales figures. And I look at them and I go, wow, when in the 1990s, when we were there, these books would have been canceled. Right. I mean, because and I don't mean cancel culture canceled. I mean, their numbers are so low that that they would have just been canceled because they didn't sell. Right. And so Marvel and DC today are selling at an all-time historical low. You can say the comic book industry is healthy if you want. I don't know. I have a difficult time looking at those numbers and then accepting that as the case. But anyway, pretty much everybody universally, except for a few, kind of agrees that comics, pop culture has some problems. So Curtis has some ideas, and we're gonna kick those around, and we're gonna poke holes in them and discuss them, and see if maybe Curtis ought to be running the world.
Yeah.
Wow, finally, the moment of truth. No, and just kind of let everybody know the genesis of this was just one. After the show, Roland and I have talks. We have our off the air talks. All of us do. And one of the things we were just talking about is is, at least from my standpoint, and I think Roland too, but I'll let him speak for himself. There just seems to be this rift in pop culture and comic books, and it just seems so divisive, and it seems like there's so many issues, and people are angry, and all a lot of fighting and a lot of stuff like that, and it just doesn't seem like the products are necessarily as fun for a fair amount of people. Some people are fine with it, but I can speak for myself. I feel that both comic books and the greater pop culture, it just doesn't seem as fun as it used to be with everything going on. So before we kind of get into it, just the thing that kind of brought this about is what I said to Roland is everybody's trying to figure out who should be the boss of the comic books. What's the biggest thing? Is it the creators? Is it an agenda or something that you're trying to push, a narrative? Is it the fans? And really my opinion is it's the characters are the bosses, right? If you do and you write a story where it's about the characters and what the characters would do, and you're truthful to the characters, especially if we're talking about long-standing properties, you really can't go wrong. But it seems like that's kind of the last thing on the checklist. So maybe what I just kind of posed to everybody just to kind of start this out is, do you even feel like there's an issue with the enjoyment of pop culture? Do you see that there's any challenges or things like that that's going on in comic books and pop culture in general? If there's a rift, so just kind of open the floor. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or.
I'll be first to jump in since you and I did kind of talk about this a little bit, and give the others a chance to mull it over and choose their words, right? I absolutely do think there's a rift, and I think we see it. Tim and the Tuesday crew talked about. You guys saw the Image thing, right? The staff at Image has formed.
Oh yes, they formed union.
Yeah, well, I guess they call it a union, but I'm not sure. We could debate that. Is that really what a union is?
I'm not really sure what's going on, but
do what's that?
Have they started a union, or they just joined an existing union?
I think that there's just there's like 9 of them, right? And they just joined together and said they're calling it a union, but it's really just a union of Image staffers, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think, guys, we've known this for a long time, and Curtis could probably, of all of us here, Curtis is the one who started at the very, beginning So you could probably address this, but comic staff people aren't really the most paid and respected people in the industry. And I'm not. This is not. We could talk about it, but that's not a judgment. It's just that hey, look, you got editorial assistants, and staffers, and they just do what they do. It's not really a high paying job, and it's not something that I don't think people aspire to be. I'm the guy who scans all the art, which we don't have to do that anymore. But I'm the guy who scans all the art. Okay, well, great. So I think the thing that bothered me in their statement was that they wanted to have a choice in the publications of Image, right? They wanted to have a say in what Image published and what they didn't. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't seen an Image response other than, hey, we always try to be, fair and whatever, just a really tiny little short statement. But I know that when we were at Malibu and then of course at Marvel, they didn't ask Roberta what she wanted to publish, right?
That'd be nice.
It's not that nobody. Right. It's not that no one valued what Roberta did, but it was like
I never even thought that would be an opinion that I would have because I'm not
That's
a publisher.
true, yeah.
I would start my own company if I wanted to do that. That's my
right.
opinion.
Exactly. That's the decisions that the bosses made. Now, even
that's not your job, right?
right. Yeah.
No.
You can choose not to work on the book if you want and quit, but as far as what the company's doing, that stinks that they might be doing something that you don't want to do, but you can always just choose to quit if you don't want to work on it.
Man,
or I think what's the reason why they really needed to do this? I guess that's what did they state? It's like because I can't imagine they're not being abused. They're not,
right.
And the wages have never been high for anybody. So it's not like you can say, oh, you expect a living wage out of this. Well, okay, there's a million people
right.
that are maybe faster than you that could put out more books and make more money. I don't know. It's kind of a thing where you know what you're getting into when you join this type of a life.
Or if you
do
don't,
it for love, it's not really it's not really a high sales game.
Well, and the other thing, I think if you don't know what you're getting into, then kind of shame on you for not doing the research. Shame on you for not educating yourself as to kind of what it's all about.
On the same hand, big companies are always going to take advantage of people if they can. So
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't. But I guess so. How many of you guys know the Image model of publishing? Do y'all know what it is?
Somewhat.
I don't know it in detail.
The percentages that the people get for the stuff.
If you're a creator that works for them and makes a comic for them, do you know their process?
I mean, isn't it you actually complete the book first and then you go to them and then
want
to
Yeah. So you complete the book first. They don't pay you anything up front, right? It's all on basically Image Tech. Now that the amount has grown a little bit, and I suspect the amount has grown because Image as a publisher has grown, and they have to pay the staffers, right? But at one point in time, they took $1,000. Image says we're going to take $1,000 from the proceeds. The creator gets everything else. The way I sit and look at that, I'm like, wow, that's a pretty fair deal, right? Now even before that, they were like 90-10. Okay, the creator got 90%, and the Image got 10%, which was the best deal going. And then I call this the Robert Kirkman effect. They said, okay, well, we're just going to take, because Robert Kirkman's book was selling 60,000 copies in black and white, making money hand over fist, and so they were getting a larger percentage of the proceeds of The Walking Dead than they were from the other books, just because the other books didn't sell like The Walking Dead did. And so
his book was making them a lot of money. And I think when he came in, he goes, "Hey, I got a problem with this," right? And so they changed it to the base amount. Now, to my understanding, and I haven't talked to anyone, and my information is a couple of years old. I heard that they had bumped that figure up to I think it's $2,200. So you do a book for Image, they take $2,200 out of the profits, and then the creators get everything else. Now, if you know anything about the comic book industry, you know that if Image takes $2,200, that doesn't really leave a whole lot for the creators.
Not
right?
nowadays.
Not
Nope.
really.
No, not nowadays, certainly. And the other thing is, if you take $2,200 out of the book, well, how are you going to pay 9 staffers and cover your rent and your so there's just, I guess for me, for my thinking is that there's just not a lot of money there. Where do you want this money to come from? Now, I think Marvel and DC would be a little bit different, right? They're very corporate, but somebody like Image, and I don't know what kind of offices they have. I don't know what kind of overhead they have to cover. But still, there's just the bottom line is there's just not a lot of money there. So where do these people think the money is coming from? I guess that's always one of my questions about something like that.
Sure. If I can,
Yeah, it would be
interject.
my opinion. I think that they think that the books are making somebody rich and they're not
Yes.
part of it.
Yeah.
Just to interject, I think we have quite a few. The chat is kind of blowing up, so maybe we'll just take a quick minute to
Nice.
clear some of these out. So let's go back to Stephen Brown. So let me see here. Actually, Roland, I think maybe you can. For some reason, I don't have access to him, but I guess Stephen Brown explains why he can't post a link, and it goes down. We have almost a dozen messages here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's saying why he can't post a link to YouTube and something about having a wrench. And he's got 43 days left, and he's got up to $340, and it needs to reach $500 to go in demand. So here is his link for those of you who want to go check it out. We encourage you to do so. And then he says, I could put a post on here, which would be Facebook for those of you listening. Michael Wilkinson says, analysts and SEO may have a bigger say in what? I'm not sure. Excuse me. Bigger say. Oh, and of course, there's my father-in-law. Hello, big dummy. Have a great night. What's up, Screw Loose? Kyle Schultz, what's up, Kyle? He says, "Hey, Roland, hope all is well. You guys, I want you to make a mental note of Kyle's name. Might see it pop up again. How's it going, Kyle? Nice of you to drop by, man. Ask us hard questions. Yeah. So I think I think I use the whole Image thing to bring up that because you were asking, Curtis, your question was, do we think there's a schism?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the answer is yes.
Sure.
I don't know where it came from. And one of the things I'm going to fly Silverline's flag for just a minute. One of the things that you said is that, or you posed the question, is there still fun in a lot of that? And so when I talked to all of you guys, right, initially, I know Tommy forever, right? So, but when I talked to all of you guys initially, one of the things I talked about is that it's important to me that you guys are having fun. I would love to say, we've got some rich sugar daddy that's going to fund all this, and we can all make 1990s page rates, but that's just not the case. So it's important to me that we have fun because I honestly believe, and there's no science to back this up, but I honestly believe when you're having fun doing what you do, it's reflected in your work. Mm-hmm. And I think it shows up. And I want, and I know you guys believe this because you're here, right? I want, I want Silverline to be known as the company that's all about having fun. You know, we're doing fun comics. We're making fun comics. They're comics for everybody. Anybody and everybody can read them and enjoy them and have fun. You know, we're not trying to, you know, piss off or tick off one segment of the population over the other segment. We're just trying to, you know, make comics that we have fun doing, and we think others will have fun doing as well. Patrick Lugo says, "What's up, Curtis and company? I'm finally catching this live. Woohoo, Patrick!
Patrick
Good to
is
join us.
my co-host on the Comics Foo Show, which we
Yep.
do from time to time. He's also the creator of Tiger's Tale, which is another kung fu related comic book coming out in a couple months. And
Gotta get him on the show.
yeah, we do,
Yeah.
Patrick. Well, let's
You know, another
talk.
thing you need to do, you need to get me some image, and we'll work. I've been thinking about this some in our starting soon video.
Mhm.
We need to start putting stuff up there like that. So get me an image of the Comics Foo show, and we'll
Okay.
work it into our images. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I got you. Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Michael says, I was commenting on who gets to say on publishing. Oh, okay. So, and then he's saying analysts and CEO may have a bigger SEO may have a bigger say. Well, I know that, well, of course we didn't have SEO back in our day. Right. So, so that wasn't an issue. And we did have an analyst that we had the numbers crunchers, but the numbers crunchers aren't the ones who made up. So when I say the numbers crunchers, really the bean counters, right? We had our marketing department, which would estimate how many copies they think something would sell, and then the bean counters would crunch the numbers. Here's how much we got to pay talent. Here's how much it costs to print, and then the powers that be would make the decision. As an editor, I just became a champion of a project, right? If somebody pitched something to me, I would become that project's champion. Say, hey, I think this is a cool thing that we need to do. It wasn't my decision to do it, right? I became the champion, and then I would kind of try to convince the powers that be to make it happen, right? Patrick Lugo says, editing episode 2 now. Woohoo!
Nice. Good job.
Nice.
Good job. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, the format for the show is that it's all edited. So we put in like little video clips and segments and things like that. So excellent, Patrick.
You know what I discovered last week? If you guys paid attention last week, I don't know if you did. I did. The episode that filled in for us last week streamed as if it was live. But it was an actual recorded video that I had gone in and edited of one of our the one on YouTube that has the highest number of hits. I figured, well, I'll just take this one, and I edited it. I had to get it down to 59 minutes and 59 seconds, so that was the problem, and it played as if it was a live video. So
that's cool.
So all right, I'm going to shut up now. Let somebody else answer.
I've somewhat forgotten what the question was now.
Just
Roland, you talk so much, I forgot what the question was.
The current status of pop culture and comic books. I mean, basically our hypothesis is that there seems to be an issue between the fans and creatives, and it just with the fun factor. I don't know if you see that.
I want you to because I'm having a hard time trying to grasp what it is that you're saying. What do you mean conflict?
I mean, you could take almost any major franchise now, and you
mean like Spider-Man, not the new Spider-Man movies, not being really the Spider-Man.
Well, look at like Star Wars, for instance. It's almost like there's a civil war sometimes between different factions about the fans versus the creatives and things like that. If you kind of look at a lot of the stuff that's going on in social media and things like that, and that people aren't happy with how a lot of franchises or kind of long-lasting things like that are being handled.
Yeah,
that's essentially.
Yeah, I take the point. Just ignore the fans. Sorry, you can't please 300 million people.
Well,
so just make a film that you want to make. It's like you write a story. You can't write a story for someone else.
No,
true.
You write the story you want to tell. If they like it, great. If they don't, all right, never mind. Moving on.
Yeah, try again. It's kind of
the problem with things that have been around for 30, 40 years or longer in comics.
Right.
People grow up with them and they have a possessive nature over them. Well, that's the character I grew up with.
Yeah.
If you want the character to die, and it just to fade away, we'll just keep publishing the same thing that you grew up with, because no one's going to be interested in reading the same thing for 40 years. You have to let go of the character and let it do its own thing. And sometimes that's going to be stories you're not going to like. And sometimes you have to say, actually, I don't like it anymore. My dad doesn't watch Doctor Who anymore. He doesn't enjoy it. I love Doctor Who. I love it now. It's not the Doctor Who he grew up with.
Right.
You just move on. He's not sitting there complaining and crying about it. He's not writing things on Facebook or threatening people.
He's just not watching it. He moved
It's
on.
not
Yeah.
it's look. I'm a fan of loads of stuff and a fan of comics. It's not yours. Get over it. And move on. All right? Move on.
Well, but they do feel like it's theirs, because it's part of your own nostalgia.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know, so
it
kind of hurts when you know that there's some heart to what you watched, and the heart has been stripped for hope for clicks and and them making money.
Well,
it's a different focus on.
So what do you think that is? I guess, Curtis, let me jump in here. Why do you think that fans feel like it's theirs?
Well, it's a symbol, right? I mean, it's like when something symbolizes an ideal of yours, or it symbolizes a time in your life, right? Something that's important to you. Now, I get what Pete's saying. Kind of like go do your thing. The thing has to live on or be in a different incarnation. What happens when, and it does happen sometimes, where the old audience doesn't like it and the new audience doesn't like it, and nobody likes it.
That's where I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, I worry that they have such a disconnect that they're gambling on new people liking it and killing a franchise of fans that were already there that loved it.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like those episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars that all of us 4, 5, and 6 people, when we saw those first ones, we didn't like it. But I'm going to tell you, when they were coming out, when I was doing caricaturing out at Disney and all that kind of stuff, and that kids loved episodes 1, 2, and 3. They really did. And now you've got the folks that those kids are going, boy, episodes I can't add, so you got 4, 5, and 6, so 7, 8, and 9, they're going, those episodes suck, but those kids love those episodes. So it's like, who's to say?
Right. Well, I think there's something about, for us, the 4, 5, and 6, which I still call them 1, 2, and 3 because that's the way they came out, right? But episodes 4, 5, and 6, we experienced those on the big screen, and I think that those who love 1, 2, and 3, they experienced them on the big screen, and 4, 5, and 6 were videotapes that their parents owned, right?
Yep.
They were old they were old movies that my mom and dad liked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wonder if that's a little bit of the difference.
It was one of my first movies,
Yeah,
that's true.
So it's because of that, it means more, I think.
Yeah, they heard, they heard from their parents. They heard that from their parents that Star Wars, was great and stuff, and then they saw episodes 1, 2, and 3, and they're like, "Yeah, it is great, Dad. It is great, Mom." They're like, "Oh my God, that's so bad." What is
right?
So here's an example, right? Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park came out when I was a kid, right? The first one, and I still think that's the best of all the films, even with the ones that have come out in the last couple of years with what's his name, Guardians of the Galaxy guy, which have been a much bigger, more expensive, more dinosaurs and all that stuff. They've been bigger in every way, but I still think, because Jurassic Park, when it came out when I was a kid, it was mind blowing, and I guess that's what Star Wars is to you guys, right?
Right.
So it hits you that film hit me at a time where I was young and really impressionable. Whilst I still enjoy the Jurassic Park films, I'd always think, hey, I'm going to watch Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park 1. That's the best one.
Yeah,
I had everything. But yeah, it depends when it hits you in your life. So you're right about that. The Star Wars stuff, episodes with Hayden, what's his name, and Obi-Wan. I didn't think they were particularly brilliant films, but when I was at school in America, the younger guys raved about those films, and I was sat there like, but I didn't think they were very good, but they loved them, and they love Hayden Christensen. They think he's amazing. I was like,
yeah.
Okay, all right. James
Well,
Earl Jones and the big giant Green Giant Man is my Darth Vader, but they loved him, and I was like,
Well,
okay, well, it's because it hit them at that time. They were really impressionable. It came out in a big way.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen a Silverliner, Mackenzie Workman. She's all about Hayden.
Oh man!
Oh yeah,
that business she has, it's amazing. It is so cool.
Yeah, the dinosaurs, right?
Dinosaurs.
That was great.
So cool.
Curtis, while you're formulating the next thing here, there's a handful of comments here. Let's jump in. Aaron Humphrey says there seems to me there is another motive behind the image union. Not sure if I want to talk about it here. It is the last clause of the union demands, and I think I touched on that a little bit. I think that may be kind of what's behind it a little bit. Kyle Schultz says the only people who hate Star Wars more than normal people are Star Wars fans.
Yeah, true.
It is.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
Phil Leon, hey yo, how it goes? It's Silverline Peeps. What's up, Phil? You guys are going to see Phil's name here quite a bit next week as we get ready to launch White Devil #1 along with Twilight Grim #3.
Nice.
Kyle says it's something they relate to.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm going to skip his because he poses a question there. Kyle says, growing up, I only knew of Star Wars: A New Hope. All I had was that VHS. I was 9 or 10 when episode 1 came out. I thought, man, they're finally going to continue this. I was 14 when I finally watched Empire and Return. Wow.
Wait.
He says also Jurassic Park is the best of that franchise. Not a fan of the Jurassic World movies at all. Patrick,
I really like those films.
I do too. I like
Chris Pratt.
I like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Really like I don't care how much about him. He's cool. But yeah, the first one's always going to be, to my mind, the best one.
Well, so there's this thing about So I wish I could give attribution to where it belongs, but I don't remember. It's like no one remembers who's second, right? They only remember who comes in first. And I think a lot of that is the same way in things like this. Is like we don't like the second movie because the first one was the first, right? So the first one comes out and it's like, wow, all new and everything. And when the second one comes out, it's like, oh, okay, it's more of the first one,
Yeah.
So, and I think it's kind of what Pete was talking about is like, I think the first one depends on you and where you are, right? My first Star Wars was, 1977, Luke and Leia, but on the big screen, I should say. My kid's first one was #1 or whatever it is, whatever the numbering is, right? With Jar Jar Binks, and they loved it. And I'm like, what? How?
Yeah, I end up having arguments with folks because of I'm such a huge Star Wars fan.
Yes.
But even though I didn't overly go nuts about 1, 2, and 3, I still loved them. I still think that it's more Star Wars. Give me more Star Wars. I don't even the new movies like the Solo and all those stuff that people are just hating and stuff. I've had arguments with other on some of our other not arguments, discussions. We'll call them discussions.
Yeah. On the Whammers.
Yeah, with all them stuff, and then there's I still I still like. I mean, let me see Darth Vader chopping people up, no matter who's in the costume. I want to see Darth Vader. Give me some lightsabers, chopping cheese up. I don't care what it is. Give me a lightsaber. I don't care what it is.
I'm not sure that. Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, I think when you walk out of the movie theater, you have to ask your question: was I entertained? And did I have fun? And I think if you can say yeah, then that's really all that matters. Like and we won't go down this path, but for instance, Black Widow. I didn't love Black Widow. I didn't think it was a great movie, but when I walked out, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like I wasted my $10 movie ticket. I had fun. It was a fun movie. I was entertained. I got some popcorn and a Coke while I got to watch it, and was with my wife, and so we had a good time. And that's fine. That's what more can you ask for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. We watched it on TV, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, like I said, I there's things I would have done were it me. I would have done different things, but it wasn't me, right? So I just had to enjoy it for what it was. Wubba says, just dropping by. Hello, Silverline fam. Miss you all. Wubba.
Mr. Wubba.
Hello.
We miss you, man. We need you to get moved and get set up so you could rejoin us.
Yes.
I was going to say society, but we kind of count as society, right? All right. So here's a question for you, Curtis.
Okay.
What if there's a difference between a creative work and a franchise tent pole?
That's a good one. I mean, I think that's almost like what's the difference between like a blockbuster film and something that's an auteur film, And maybe that's a really great question to pose, because I think that's kind of what we're seeing with a lot of these franchises, where people go into what's considered a big multi-million-dollar franchise, and they make a very auteur film, a film that's very specific to their outlook, as opposed to maybe the broader public entertainment kind of avenue. So I think that's a good point. I think they both are valid things, but I think there is a difference, and really it's the difference is money. Are you trying to get as many people as possible to watch and enjoy your film or project, or are you just trying to put your message or your stamp on something? I think that's really what it is. Yeah. And anybody else thoughts?
Well, I like, while Pete's getting his thoughts together, I like what Pete said earlier. It's not yours.
No.
Yeah.
It's not, but I still feel people are entitled to their opinion, and
of course, yeah.
Now threatening people are getting crazy. That's not cool. But people can definitely say, I don't like it, and it should have been X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So that that's the balancing act of it, right?
Yeah. I think it's okay. You can have your opinion. Just don't expect everyone to take it seriously or listen to it. This is the problem. True. Everyone has an opinion that expects to be taken as valid opinion as everyone else. Where that's why you just have a million screaming voices on Twitter saying, "This is my opinion. Yes. Why won't you listen to me?"
You are not.
I don't care.
So do you think it's that they want to be taken as valid, or they want to be taken as right?
In their mind, a difference, the same right? Thing, if I'm honest, yeah, they want to be right. Yeah.
Do you know what I think? It's even more than wanting to be right. Is I'm thinking they want their voice to be effective. To say, hey, I want a movie that I want, not what you guys felt like giving me.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, or the comic, or the
And that's the case. Okay, so if that is the case, what is our collective answer to that person?
You can't please anyone, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you always have somebody who's pissed.
That's not what I was shooting for.
You mean the person, the unsatisfied customer? Is that what you mean? What would the message be to them?
No. So Roberta said, and correct me, Roberta, if I get it wrong, but she's like, hey, they think, oh, this is, I want you to make the movie that I want you to make, not that you want to make. And our response as creatives, okay, back up just a step. Our response as creatives should be what?
Well, see, here's the problem. Here's my answer to my own statement there. I have a reason why I said that. It's because you have this expectation once something's already established, and everybody's rehashing and squeezing every last drop of fandom out of everything that was already there. So those are the reasons why it's having such a hard time.
Yeah.
It doesn't inspire people to be creative when you are constrained by what was.
Yes. So that's really close to what I think our answer ought to be. Anybody else want to chime in?
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with Pete on the idea that If you don't like it, then do the thing that you want, or create the franchise that you want. But
Yes.
and to be honest, I would say
Yes.
and that doesn't mean,
Absolutely.
for me personally, writing Star Wars fan fiction. It's create your own universe, your own thing. It's like, actually, that's the whole impetus for why I'm working on my comic book. I've been, as a martial arts instructor, I grew up watching these kung fu movies, and that inspired me to go ahead and get out there and train. And I always wanted my own students to have something like that. But over the years, there never was anything that really came out that inspired them, or I felt really shared what the martial arts meant to me, So I said, well, I can't wait forever for that thing to come out. I'll make it, and if nothing else, I mean, not for nothing, it may not be, hopefully it's successful. If it isn't, it isn't, but I'll have done it. And I'll have put what I felt is important out there. And that's that's my thought on the whole matter,
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was headed with it too. Is like, look, if you don't like it, go make your own.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not, if you thought that was the movie you were going to get, you didn't get it, and you're unhappy, well, go make your own. There's nothing stopping you. You know. I mean, we are in a day and age today, technologically, where so many people can do whatever. I mean, I'm a big fan of these guys called. Oh crap! They made the show Ninja High School, not Ninja High School, Video Game High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you saw that one, Curtis?
I've seen bits of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's two guys from California. They made a whole lot of their films on shoot with a camera.
Yeah.
Right, with a cell phone, right?
Yeah.
A cell phone, not a camera. That's what you would use normally, right? But they showed how they used the cell phone to make it. I'm like, wow, that looks really good. And their whole point was that is like, look, you don't need all this expensive equipment just to make something. We're using this cell phone, and this is what we're doing, and this is what the product looked like. And I was like, wow, that looks really good, to the untrained eye, which is most of the consuming public, right? They're not going to know, oh, they used a cell phone to video that instead of a red, right? And the only reason I know what a red video camera is because of my daughter, right? But yeah, it's like go make your own if you're unhappy with it.
Yeah.
Carl Schultz said the difference between the creative work and a franchise tentpole is budget and money.
Yeah. Definitely. That kind of brings up something, kind of a spinning it back on the other side is, at the same time, I understand, franchises have to move on and grow and stuff like that. But for some people, I can understand when they're disappointed or not happy, because the whole reason sometimes to go and take an existing franchise and use it is because you want to leverage the things about it that people like. I think it's, it's kind of like, I could say I'm making a Salisbury steak and, make it out of chicken and ketchup and call it a Salisbury steak. And when you get angry that it doesn't taste like beef, I go, well, that's the old way, Salisbury steaks for me. This is the new way, how dare you, So, if it loses that, then, it's another thing, you still don't have to eat at my restaurant,
Yeah, if you served me chicken as ketchup and called it Salisbury steak, I would not eat at your restaurant again.
Exactly. Well, because nobody's invited to the house for dinner. Sorry, guys.
It's funny though.
Yeah.
So would you say the characters are the bosses?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I was going to ask that same question.
Sure. Well, what I mean by that is at least from my standpoint, what I see is I see there's definitely seems to be this dialogue, especially online, about what direction to take existing franchises or comic books. Some people, say the character has to stay. The story has to be the same, the setting has to be the same, or we have to preach this specific message or ideology and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's the character should always be the priority. Everything else should fall second to the character, in my opinion. Spider-Man should still be Spider-Man. You can put him in a different situation, but the characteristics of him should always be the first thing. Is he a good person? Does he have the abilities of a spider? And if you take those things away, then what was the whole point? That's kind of what I meant. Is just stay true to the characters. You can put them in different situations, but that's kind of what I meant by that. So, but
yeah, I know Tommy got into a discussion on social media the other day about Spider-Man.
Yeah, now I'm starting to rethink it.
oh yeah, how'd it go?
No, it was. I don't know how far we want to go with this, Roland. Thanks for bringing this up.
Well, I just meant the general conversation. You don't have to get into the
We've got
details.
different opinions and different.
We were talking about the actor playing Spider-Man in the current movies and stuff, and is the movies not going over as well because of him, or is it because of what they're having him do? And that's kind of what. And the person was. I couldn't. We were just discussing if it was. We didn't like the person, and I'm like, but is it? Because I thought the guy that's playing Spider-Man is doing a really good job. I think his
Well,
name.
hang on. Who said they're not going over well?
No. Yeah, exactly. That is
They're making a shed
good
load of
question.
money.
And then that's the point. That is the whole point. And again, that's where I was saying, I'm now kind of rethinking about, so I guess, Roland, that was a good thing that you did bring that up, because that's what I'm going through my head. Is like, oh, maybe I'm not thinking about it right. I mean, if
'Cause they are doing well.
yeah, if it's, but is that good and enough? I mean, as long as the parent company is making all kind of buku money, does that mean that it's good? I don't know.
I think here is there's a few loud people on the internet saying they don't like it, and people are mistaking that for because they're loud. That's a lot of people. I don't think that's the case. I think the films
that's
are really
always
good.
a problem.
They're doing really well.
I'm not.
I think they squeeze them into a larger Avengers storyline, and sometimes people might just want a Spider-Man, but it is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, I told you a second ago. I'm rethinking of my thought in it now. Now that you said it, thanks.
So I always say about Tommy and I, and well, Pete too. I know that. So Spider-Man is
we're big fans, of course.
We're big fans. We have the three of us have said that Spider-Man is one of our favorite characters. Now, and when that still holds true. I can nitpick some things about the movies, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like I said about Black Widow. At the end of the day, I left out of those movies saying that was a lot of fun. Those were fun movies. I liked that. I enjoyed it. Okay, I didn't like that he wore this that is like in the first movie. I didn't like that Tobey Maguire's webs came from his skin, because it's like, no, he's supposed to be a scientist, right? Yeah. But the movie was still fun. I thought they captured, as Curtis was saying earlier, I thought they captured the spirit of who Spider-Man is, and that's what's important to me,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, definitely. That's how, like, Into the Spider-Verse, I really had no desire to see that movie when it first came out. And it was one of my friends said, no, it's really good. And I went to see it, and I was like, because the whole idea of Miles Morales, I kind of was like, whatever. Right. But after I saw the Into the Spider-Verse movie, I was a Miles Morales fan, and I loved it. And I love disheveled, middle-aged Peter Parker.
Yeah, that was so funny.
You kind of identify. You're like, yeah, life's tough.
Yeah,
and and I didn't mind. I don't mind seeing characters fall. I don't mind seeing characters waver. That was with that whole narrative with that Spider-Man, because when they find their true essence, and that's what shines out. To me, that makes them even more admirable. I like Peter Parker even more after seeing him go through that than I do just him always having a flat line arc. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I really like that. Yeah. So
I think my argument was more of the I think
the script.
I think it was more of the story that he was in that I was like, okay, it was fine. But I thought it was Peter Parker. I thought it was Spider-Man. I thought he made a great Spider-Man. I thought he did Spider-Man stuff. I thought he except for the silly Iron Man Spider-Man outfit that I know he has that in some of the comics every now and again, but that's not, whatever.
Yeah.
I just, it's kind of like episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars stuff. It's like, that's not my favorite Star Wars movies, but I still love Star Wars. Yeah, I'm still, and
Right.
it was great. I still love Spider-Man, and I think that it did great and stuff. It's like, were those, did I like those stories so much? Get past for me, I don't care about his, high school days. Let's get out of the high school days.
Yeah, and see, you and I both talked about that. Was that just today that we were talking about that?
That was yesterday, I think.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like Peter Parker in high school. I
Yeah,
like
you
high
like
school
it. You like this high school stuff. I'm like, I don't care about Peter Parker in high school. That's just, those aren't the stories that I didn't care all that much about.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I love the fact that being a comic book fan for so long and having it be such a slow drip and tiny things that we could get as our comic book characters or in media. Like we had to watch the Dolph Lundgren Punisher. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah.
And like now we get to argue over these little details with like very comic book accurate costumes. I mean, we are blessed. I have to say that I am so happy that this is what we can talk about now.
Right. Yeah. Well, the other thing is you think about it, right? If you read enough of, I think anyway, if you read enough comics of the same title, let's just say you read 100 issues, or not even 100 issues. Let's say you read, what's 3 years worth would be 12, 24, another 12, 30. You read 36 issues of one title. Chances are you're not going to love all 36 issues, right? Yeah. There are going to be issues and story arcs within those that you like better than the others, right? Definitely. So why do we expect a series of movies to be any different?
Very true.
Exactly.
And even in a certain era, it's a lot of times, haven't you folks found, at least for me, it's a certain run of the comic book. I love it when it's this specific creative team. That's when it was my version of that I love the most,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Kyle says, that's why I dislike the MCU Spidey. To me, they're not staying that true to the character, which was kind of what Tommy's conversation on social media was the other day. Tommy, they were talking about, I think the actor itself. They were saying that Tom Holland was the worst Spider-Man. And really? I think if I can encapsulate your argument, Tommy was like, well, I don't think it's Tom Holland. I think he's fine. I think if you want to complain about anything, complain about the script, because Tom Holland does these things that I expect Spider-Man to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I like him as Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too.
He's fine with me. Yeah.
I mean, I like him better than he's shorter than
he might be a little small,
Spider-Man, but it works. Yeah, it comes up.
Peter Jackson is a huge Wolverine too, so we're fine with that.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Do you folks remember Wizard Magazine? They used to do like a casting call.
Yeah.
And I used to love like when it was Wolverine. They're like, oh, it should be Bob Hoskins from Who Framed Roger Rabbit should be Wolverine, or because he's short and hairy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I actually think, and before I say this, anybody else want to share? Roberta's been sharing for the first hour, so anybody else want to share?
Go for it, anyone.
I still haven't figured out technically how to share my.
All right, I'll start. I'll start working
it's
on
a button. It's
a button.
Hopefully works. Hopefully
all right, I'll try to work on getting this page up.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave Roberta up until I see you pop up, then I'll swap you out.
Okay.
Oh shoot, what was I going to say? Oh, you mentioned Bob Hoskins. The Peter Dinklage, right? The guy who
Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, he was in the what's a TV show that you watch so much, Tommy?
Game of Thrones.
Right. I always said, dude should be Puck from Alpha Flight.
Yes.
Would he not make a great Puck from Alpha Flight?
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, what the heck?
That's cool.
All right, there's some more comments here. Whoa, Kyle says something I tell people all the time. By the time I started reading comics, Peter Parker was already an adult in the comics. He was an adult in the cartoons and in college and worked for the Daily Bugle. He wasn't a teen until the Ultimate Spidey comics came out, and I was becoming a teen. So I grew up with the character while he was a teen, though he also died in the comics at the age of 17. So, which is perfect, right? I mean, so yeah. Fruitbat 36, hola, here and coloring. Woohoo! I've told Fruitbat he needs to join us. We'll probably, I don't know if he wants me to reveal who he is, so I know. But we got to get him to join. Tom Holland does. Kyle says Tom Holland does a great job for what he's paid to do. It's definitely the story and script. Yeah, and I think for me, ultimately, that if you don't like Spider-Man, the most recent movie, you do have to question: is it really the actor that you don't like, or is it the script that you don't like? Right. But Kyle said Bob Hoskins was supposed to be Wolverine in the original X-Men movie back in the 90s. I did not know that.
Wow, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I always
cool.
wanted for Nightcrawler. I always wanted while he was alive, the musician Prince. I thought Prince would be the perfect Nightcrawler, the size and the look.
Oh,
So I got a problem with that.
Yeah, you do?
Because of the way he talks.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I don't. Kurt Wagner has to have that German accent, I think, and I don't. Prince kind of had a very tenor, kind of soft-spoken voice, and
well, if we could dub him with an actor, let's do that. We'll meet in the
We
middle.
could, yeah.
We'll call it even.
I always thought
all right, Fruitbat says
the,
he's gay. So
The what?
Fruitbat 36 guys is actually Martin Mertonen, and he is coloring Wolf Hunter.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
right.
So
That's
yep.
gonna
So
be a fun book.
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And he says actually he thinks you're bang on. If Prince could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
I still don't know. I agree with that.
I like your
but-
style, Fruitbat. That's all I can say. Too funny. Very good.
So yeah, all right. He kind of Wolf Hunter, yeah. So it would come to me in a minute, and I just had to get there. I had to cycle through my list, right? What's next, Curtis?
Well, I mean, what about comic books directly? I mean, there's a lot of like we just mentioned, the comic book industry, the commercial comic book industry, mainstream comic book industry is having a rough time, and I think the numbers have no argument about it. The layoffs, that you can't really argue too much
Right.
about them either. If you had your 2 cents as far as how things could be improved or what would be a different way
Oh man.
to move forward, what would everybody's thoughts be if you had a thought on how to improve it, or if you think it's great?
Oh, I got the first answer right there, but no one. I don't think I can get very many people on board with this one. That's to put Jim Shooter back in charge at Marvel.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I never worked for Jim Shooter, and so I've read some of the things. Some of the people who worked for him said he was a tyrant and all that kind of stuff. So I cannot address that at all. He may have been, I don't know, but I've met him on occasion, and he's super nice guy, super smart guy, knows what he's talking about when it comes to stories and writing. He blogged for a long time, and if any of you are interested in comics and certainly maybe Marvel Comics history, his blog is still up. He just doesn't add new content to it. I highly encourage you to go read it. He's got some really good stuff on there, and he tears apart some of the DC New 52 stuff, but he doesn't just tear. He doesn't just call it crap. He says it's crap, but here's why. And then he goes through and he explains why these things don't work. And he talks about art. He talks about story. He talks about it, not just from one particular aspect. And, you might not agree with him, but when he starts pointing these things out, you're like, oh yeah, I see that. I do see what you're talking about. So like I say, I never worked for him, so I don't have that perspective. I just look at his tenure in Marvel at Marvel and look at the, the guy was there throughout the decade of the 80s, and I look at the content that Marvel produced, and I'm like, wow, that's some really good stuff that they made during that decade. So yeah.
His story. I mean, I don't know if everybody's heard his story about how he got into the industry, but absolutely fascinating. He was like, what, 15?
I think 14, wasn't he?
14, and he started submitting stories. Like, basically, he went ahead and bought a bunch of comic books, broke them down as far as down to the DNA of what's a good story, what isn't, started submitting stuff, and then got hired by DC.
Yeah, and they didn't know how old he was.
They didn't know how old he was until they asked him. They were trying to bring him out to New York on a business trip, and he was a child.
I asked my mom.
What's really weird about that is, Curtis, that kind of sounds a lot like you, my man.
I appreciate the comparison, but I literally
being so young getting in, they were taking you to shows and taking you out of the state. You weren't supposed to be leaving the state without your parents' permission.
Well, I appreciate that. I wish I had that level of greatness. All I know is when I approached Chris Holm, the editor-in-chief, in the parking lot after I chased his car down, I literally said to him, I said, I will do anything to work in comics. I will clean toilets if I can work in comic books. That was what I had to offer Malibu in the beginning. So between Jim Shooter and I, a little different, but I appreciate that.
Fruitbat says, return to the roots. And then Kyle says Jim Shooter was probably Marvel's most controversial editor. Oh, and Shooter was 13 and not 14. I knew he was really young. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Wow.
And anybody else have any thoughts about different ways to potentially improve the
the youth market?
Pete and I think so much alike. It's crazy, because I was going to say the exact same. But I don't have an answer to that, though.
I think I get the impression that publishers are going after that. What they call it, the YT market. YT.
YA.
YA market.
YA, young adults. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are going after. I think they've realised they're missing out.
Yeah.
And they're being clobbered by other publishers, by book publishers especially, that are in that market. So, and that drives long-term readers.
Yeah.
People don't tend to come to comics in their 30s and 40s.
No, they
They
don't.
come to it as kids and they stick with it. I think.
Yeah.
So,
But they might come in their 20s, if they're exposed to it late. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Or I think early 20s, maybe.
Yeah, early 20s.
So they need to get them while they're young.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And manga's like still selling really well in the States. I mean, I think they were saying some crazy quote that the manga Demon Slayer, right?
Yeah.
Which is known as Kimetsu no Yaiba in Japan. It in one of the months, the graphic novel outsold all the titles at Marvel and DC, was one of the quotes.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of I kind of almost said, well, it seems like there isn't the audience, but it seems like that age group, and it's sequential art, so something's there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you're right. So I don't know that I know that Tommy and I have talked about this ad nauseum often when we're just together, not kind of on our stream. So when you say the youth market, I kind of have a theory that or maybe not a theory, maybe you kind of look at it. The game kind of changed in the late 80s, basically thanks to Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. You had The Watchmen, and then I think everybody started wanting to do the grim and gritty. And then we saw really kind of Marvel and DC kind of abandon the youth idea for their comics, and they started writing comics, making comics targeted at a much older age. Is there a fix to that? I mean, you guys probably also know this is one of the reasons that I want us to do, Silverline to do PG-13 books because I want to be able to be at the convention when the family walks up to you and says, hey, can my 12-year-old read this book? Absolutely, they can read this book. This is, it's fun superhero stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I mean.
that's hard
I've
to
said it
do.
so many times on all of our streams and stuff. I mean, everybody knows my stuff that I do for me. My Inferno Studios stuff is mostly aimed. I mean, the adults read them too, but it's aimed towards kids. I know I'm not helping bringing kids into the market, but all my books that I do for all the time I put into all my Zomboy and Little Nan So and all that stuff is kid friendly fun books. That's what I mean, we do all this other stuff, of course, love doing it, but my
Right.
personal stuff I just do. I Well, I got an idea for another book, but all of my stuff that I personally do is kid friendly stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to bring the kids in.
Yeah, well, and when I see, one of the things I've noticed that the change in conventions from when we first, Tommy, when we first started in the late '80s to in early '90s, then to now, is I see that the attendees have changed. I didn't see a lot of families attending conventions in the late '80s and the early '90s.
Yeah.
Guys would bring their girlfriends and girls would bring their, their boyfriends and things like that. But there really wasn't a lot of, I mean, there were some. I'm not going to do some before somebody says, I have took my family since, 1970. You're like, well, okay, I get it. There's, but there wasn't. Now I see lots and lots of families attend conventions. And so for me, it's always, okay, well, almost everybody kind of universally will say, okay, well, I'll take my 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old to see a PG-13 Marvel movie because we know that it's PG-13 because there's quote unquote, action, superhero violence. And that's kind of the way I, envision us to be with Silverline is to be able to say, okay, you know what? Yeah, these are PG-13, but it's because, they're superheroes, shooting ray beams at each other and flying around and punching each other through buildings and dropping water towers on people's heads and, things like that. Not for other reasons, you know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing, I had an interesting conversation this past weekend with some of the folks I know in the animation industry, and it kind of brought to light something interesting, which is we'll see on social media sometimes about a movie, an animation, or a comic book or whatever, and the marketing department will attach a certain narrative about why you should see this or what the main goal is, whether it's a specific political statement or something like that. Sometimes, and oftentimes I was surprised here, of course, the artists, that was never their intent. The marketing department has their thought about how to market it. And sometimes the artists get very frustrated because they just want to market it as, hey, this was a great story. We worked really hard on it. And you're attaching a different narrative to it than what was intended. And sometimes they kind of, for lack of a better word, they get screwed over by the own marketing department of the company because there is the disconnect between departments. So that I thought that was very interesting to hear that.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Yeah.
That's one of the things Fruit Bat said about comics. He says, stop politicizing stuff.
Yeah.
Then he says, regarding Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, he said, bingo.
Yeah.
And then about the PG-13 material, says, yep. He goes in and he loves to read them to his 5.5-year-olds, and we enjoyed Teen Beetle together. So,
that's great.
That's very cool.
That's what it's all about.
Definitely.
Well,
yeah.
Pregnant pause.
Yeah. I'm still a drawing, so sometimes I forget what I'm talking.
We didn't really do a Kickstarter update, did we, at the beginning? That's okay. I post stuff on there. Hopefully, folks know us well enough to know that they're going to get their stuff. So.
Pete, next time these guys, look at all this detail that you drew in this little guy. Oh, wait, he's really this big. Wait, what am I doing?
Come on.
I have that problem. Thank you, Pete.
They're
wonderful drawings, but it's like each panel is almost its own page.
There we go.
So cool.
He's not smiling. He's not meant to be smiling.
Oh no.
Oh no.
This looks like me inking now.
He looks good like that.
Yeah, well, I knew that was Pete's page when I saw the police cars.
Yeah, the
Yep.
cars in there.
Gross.
They're dead on.
That's a nice car right there, Pete. Doo, 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 doo. You know, we spell police differently than you do in the UK.
That is an American police car.
Oh,
Is
okay.
So the other time Googling American police cars, American fire engines, American ambulances. Because you can't do anything right. You have to make things different.
Your government's
this-
checking up on your search history, and they're like, "This guy is doing something bad."
He's
He's
obsessed. He's
Oh, I
obsessed.
know the weapons, and I
Yeah,
have to
right?
Google so many things that are not good.
You do at least you have baseball caps for your police officers. Most of them have baseball caps, so that's easier tan the Bobby's helmet over here.
oh, that's true.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, which
Although they're being phased out.
are they really in favor of what?
there's not. You don't really see many police officers wearing them anymore.
What do they wear instead?
Just police caps, I suppose. Not baseball caps, but
Yeah,
yeah.
looks kind of like a little bit like a sailor's captain's
yeah.
hat. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Well, all I can say is if Roland, if at any point you decide to have cat and mouse, go over to the UK. Like Pete is ready. I mean, he'll be able to draw everything super
All the
accurate.
reference ready.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Take them to London, right?
Yeah. Might be time for one of those. No, definitely.
You can do that.
Yeah,
You
you've
do that.
given them so many panels with faces in it, which is really great because it's fleshing them out a little bit more.
I'm trying to
in
avoid.
our direction.
I'm trying to avoid the last panels on this because this is the last page of
Yeah,
my
don't
story.
ruin
So
the
I'm trying,
surprise.
yeah, so I'm not trying to. As I'm just concentrating on all this little stuff at this top panel.
That's what I did. I zoomed in and just worked on one panel. Just one.
Yeah. I just pencil it, yeah. After that,
Well, you make a lot of decisions that it's tough to get that first step. Of what
yeah,
you want
imagine
to
me. I have
show.
to draw it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you find yourself, Pete, that you come up with an idea that you regret? That you're like, oh, that's going to be so much harder than it should be.
Yeah.
Or do you?
Like every
No.
panel.
Oh no.
Doing. Why don't I just zoom in on his face? Just draw a couple of eyes.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess sometimes if I catch it early enough, I will just redo the panel. I'll just think, no, actually, no need it. Actually, on this page, if Tommy zooms out,
Well, I can't zoom out too far. I don't want to spoil the end of it.
panel 4, I've got those two faces,
Two faces.
and
Mhm.
I meant to have two faces in the background, the police officers giving out all presents and stuff. And then I realised, actually, I can't do that because the speech bubbles are just going to go over
They'll
it.
cover them up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
saved
nobody
myself
out with the
job.
dialogue.
I just didn't draw them.
I will
What?
tell you, I had problems. I had problems with the first page because you had so much
That's
so many
tight.
interesting things going on in the background with the kids and the Santa, right? But cat and mouse were having a conversation in the foreground.
I
But
know.
on the street below, there's so many cool little actions. I'm like, I can't cover that up. I can't cover that up. I'm like, oh, where am I going to put this balloon?
You know whose fault that is, don't you? That's the writer's fault, isn't it? I want this going on in the foreground, and I want this going on in the background as well. Good luck. I'll draw it. You sort it out afterwards. I'm a team player.
And this is one of the reasons.
Dial it in.
That's right. This is one of the
Not my
reasons
problem
I am a
anymore.
big fan of the plot first method
Uh-huh.
because I can say here's the things that I want happening, and then they happen, and then I can say, okay, well, now I script it accordingly to what's there.
Well, I just assume they're silent comics. No space. No space
Yeah,
for
so you
words.
forget all about it, finish your
Don't
drawing,
speak.
and then you're like, oh
Silent
yeah.
comics.
Don't need words in comics anyway.
Oh, ow.
So good.
Oh,
Fired. Shots fired.
Oh.
You did not just say that.
Just
wait,
tell the story.
Roland just left. He just left.
Please just tell the story.
I think you hurt his feelings.
Come back. Okay, he came back.
Crying. I had to get on
Oh.
stream and cry.
I just heard a,
he's crying.
I just heard a string of expletives just off camera for a second.
Fruit bat says,
I have seen some shocking placement of speech bubbles, and letterers do a magnificent job.
Yeah.
But I've seen them paste them over people's heads.
oh my
in
gosh.
the middle of the page where it creases on a double page spread, so you can't actually read it.
Ugh.
It's
Yeah.
easy.
There you
There's
go.
that. There's that.
Here's a tip: if you're doing your own book, pay a letterer. Get a professional.
But it's fascinating. There's a group on Facebook that Roland put me onto for comic book editors, and it's fascinating hearing these guys talk about, okay, well, this balloon should have been here and leads the eye here, and it's just like, it's super deep, really, really, really deep stuff. And the person who I'm not sure, I can't remember who heads the group, but he always asks questions. I feel like I'm in class. He's always like, well, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with this panel? Like, well, obviously there is, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you wouldn't ask it if you.
Yeah.
That's like anytime a teacher says, "What is there anything wrong with this?" The answer is always yes, even if you don't know what it is.
Exactly.
I asked my students that. I was like, "Okay, anybody have a problem with this page?" It's like they all look at it. I'm like, "Okay, the answer is yes," even if they don't know what it is.
I was going to harken back to what you're saying about Jim Shooter, right? I think more than just Jim Shooter in particular, the idea to have a cohesive vision, right? You hear about this in TV with having a showrunner, and things like that, where there's somebody that may not necessarily be doing every part of the creative project or series, but they basically are the person that the single person whose vision kind of steers the ship. I think in some cases there's a very strong case for that, and I kind of feel like that's kind of been lost. That's what I thought Malibu when we did the Ultraverse was just awesome, because we had that Bible, and there just seemed to be this very unified vision. And I know nowadays, especially with a lot of things, that kind of a connected universe just seems kind of cliche, but the level that Malibu took it back then, as far as I could tell, was probably one of the best out there in comic books. Back when Wolverine was making a guest appearance in every single comic book that month to drive up sales at Marvel.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's one thing I've asked. Curtis, I even said something to you about it, about a greater Silverline cohesive world, and that's one of the things that I want to put John Medic on, is just to that doesn't mean that we're going to have, because I haven't just finished kind of not quite finished yet, but overseeing this Christmas special. No, I don't want us to do massive crossovers and no. No. But I think there's something, one of the things I used to love as a reader, I would read the Avengers and Spider-Man and regularly. And if the Avengers were on some massive battle with some interdimensional alien that caused snow in the middle of July, well, Spider-Man's swinging through the city and he's like, snow? What's snow doing in July in New York City? That was a cool thing to do. And it made you feel, as the reader, is like, I know why it's good. Spider-Man doesn't know, but I know why it's snowing,
Definitely.
So is that something you're going to plan to write in at some point?
Part of I would love to do that. Part of the problem with that is, at least immediately, I don't know how we would make that work, because we can't really schedule them out like that at this point in time, right? Curtis is working on Shadow Ghost #1 right now. When he finishes it is all on Curtis's schedule, not necessarily on our publishing schedule. So we can't really say, okay, well, something's going to happen in Silverline Team Up #3 that that Shadow Ghost will say, "Oh, look, there's a meteor going through the sky," whatever,
Yeah.
I think ours are going to have to be more post event or post happening. Oh, hey, why is this old house? Whoops, I can't give this away. I almost gave away the Cat and Mouse
Why
number
don't we
4.
segue to like another example, like put something on television, like a newscaster reporting something somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
that's
This
great
thing
idea.
happened.
Well, we know what we could do is we could leave things open, like whoever's drawing that comic book, have a blank TV screen, do the whole book, and then when it's just about to be published, say, "Hey, what just came out? Oh, Cat and Mouse."
Right.
And then
3
put it
came
in
out,"
there.
or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then put in there, this
Yeah.
happened in New Orleans or whatever, and just
Right.
if we all kind of agree to put those little things in there, a blank newspaper or whatever, and just before we go to print,
Put a
we
headline
could-
on it. Yeah.
yeah, we could do something like that.
Well, like the stuff happening. Oh shoot, I can't talk about that either. That's in case.
No, you can't talk about any of it.
I know. It's like I want to talk about some of this stuff, but no. Yeah. Fruit Bat says, "Oh yeah, I just remembered. I absolutely love Bear. Glad to hear that.
Oh,
Boys
great.
loved it too. Excellent.
Nice.
So stoked to hear that.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good story.
Oh, thank you. Stephen Brown says, "While I'm advertising Crypts and Legends, I'm also working on number 1 and CNL number 2, another number 1. That's good. I mean, that's one of the things of course, we talk about here. You can't just because you've got one issue out doesn't mean you can stop, right? Because you got to keep the production. Tommy and I were talking about this the other day. He's like, "Hey, what's the status of a couple of these other books, Silverline books?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. We got to get them moving, right?" You can't just get the first one out and say, "Okay, well, yay, there it is." No, you got to keep you got to keep going, right?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Let's see. It's a
Infra fan says,
marathon race.
"This old house, PBS being the big villain confirmed." No, I just didn't get to finish my sentence. And in order to do that, I would give away the ending to the cat. I would give away the story of Cat and Mouse number 4, and I don't want to do that. So, anyway, all right, go ahead, Curtis.
Oh, no. If it's okay, I know this is a non-Silverline book, but I had seen there's a book on Kickstarter. I think they're about to close out, and it looks like they have quite a bit of funding left. But it's a friend of the show, Alex Savia, worked on it. Have any of you guys seen a book called The Masters?
Yeah,
Yes, I was looking at that.
Oh, it looks so cool. So
that's the one they're asking for an awful lot of money, right?
they are, but if you look at their
Mhm.
perks, it's insane what they have. They have some really cool stuff. So the premise is that it's a team of supervillains, and all the supervillains are based off of different, I think, postmodernist artists. So you have one guy that looks like Magritte, with the fruit in front of the face, or
That's cool.
Oh, is that back on Kickstarter?
Oh, the 5th issue is on it now. The fifth and final issue is back on Kickstarter.
What's it called?
Oh, I think I saw one that it didn't get funded because they were asking for too much. They were asking for a lot.
This one's The Masters. But it's so cool, and the extras are crazy. They have a lunchbox. You can get like an old school lunchbox. You can get like a Who's Who comic book. They have the big plastic Slurpee cups with the characters on it, and even like the old plastic Halloween masks they have of all the characters. There's some
that's cool,
really fun stuff, and it's just a really cool looking book. So I made my pledge last night, but it looks
I
like
am not. Oh, the Masters of Bronze. I think I backed this.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It looks really fun.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. Show it. Sure.
Yeah, because I think maybe it's just a couple hours left, if that.
Oh yeah, 3 hours to go. You're right. Oh, good.
Yeah, but it looks fun. I mean, it looks really fun.
Oh, let's see how I can make this bigger. Whoops. My Kablam page is up here. Yeah. Upload. Oh, it's not really doing anything. I'm sure. I wonder how I can make this bigger. Let me stop that and see if I can just maybe share the app or the page.
Yeah. And they have a lot of cool tribute covers. They have Bart Sears doing a tribute cover of Bart Sears from Justice League Europe. So he's echoing his
he's aping his own cover.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool. Yeah. So that'd be a
Okay,
shame
there we go.
to get it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it right there, right? Yeah. See, they want $50,000. That's a
That's a
big
lot.
goal.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think they have a
That's
lot
a
of people
big
working
ask.
too.
Yeah, it really is a big ask. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of look at it. Tom Palmer, Bob Hall,
Romeo
Coach
Tango.
Payton,
Yeah.
Arvell Jones, Ron
There's-
Wilson,
there's
Alex, Pat, Bob Budiansky.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of good
Daryl
classic
Banks.
name. There's Mort Todd.
Stephen
Uh,
Butler.
Steven in there?
Yeah.
Oh, sure enough, right there.
Yeah,
it is.
look.
Steven Butler. Look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah. No, I remember looking at this and going, "Wow, this looks really good."
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that I didn't back it with my other account. And
Make sure your credit card doesn't show up on.
right, yeah. Let me just stop sharing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should consider going to back that.
Yeah, that's great.
Let's see here. All right. Well, my clock says we've been live an hour and 54 minutes. We should probably wind down. Pete, you got a show coming up this weekend, right?
Yes, I do.
Where are you going? Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be at Thought Bubble in Harrogate, which is up north.
Is that with an H? Did you say Harrogate?
Harrogate,
Okay.
yes. It's Thought Bubble. It's a fairly well-known, large actual comic convention.
Cool.
Nice.
If you check it out, you'll see it's got like 3 halls of just artists and creators.
Sweet.
So
That's good.
yeah, lots of competition, lots of big names.
Yeah.
Hopefully, lots of people loving some art.
Yeah.
Comics.
That'd be nice. Anybody you're if you feel so inclined, anybody you're looking forward to trying to meet there, or
You know what? I need to go through this week and just pick out some names to try and just hunt down, and if I can get away from my table.
yeah, if you can't. So I'll drop this to you in an email. Look for a guy by the name of Curtis. Help me out. He drew Mantra. Dave Roberts. Look for a guy by the name of Dave Roberts. And if you find him, drop my name and get his email address, please.
Oh, right, okay.
I have an email address for him, I think, but and we used to swap some emails. But 6 or 7 years ago, I dropped him a line and I didn't hear back from him. And then someone emailed me and said, "Hey, do you know Dave Roberts?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Hey, he's not answering his email. Do you?" And so I don't know. I honestly don't know if something's happened to the guy. But fantastic artist, good guy. I used to talk with him on the phone. He did a bunch of work for me back in the 90s. So he's probably Tommy's age.
Jesus.
young fella.
So keep your eyes posted for him, if you will. I'll go look it up too, because I'll see if there's anybody else that I know.
And Pete, you're accepting commissions, right, for people going to the show? Just
free show commissions.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Free shows certainly. Pick up
Okay.
at the show. After that,
Okay.
I'm probably gonna have to close down for that and just get my pages and stuff done.
Cool.
I've got quite a lot to do.
Very cool.
But yeah, for show, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you guys look for Pete in Harrogate and go buy some comics.
Indeed.
We also got a gang. Let's see here. Oh, I can't. Let me see. I can't find the comments here. It's in the banners. Well, I can't see it while it's running, so that's what I need to do. So let's see here. Scott Wakefield, John Martin, and Dean Zachary are all going to be at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, obviously in Memphis, Tennessee, November 12, 13, and 14. So all of you there in that Memphis area, shoot on over there and meet Scott, obviously, who is one of the Wednesday Whammers. Is the writer for Steam Patriots. John Martin inker for Fire Rush and the upcoming Wolf Hunter. Dean Zacher, you guys know from all kind of industry stuff, but he did Cat and Mouse, and he's working on his own Silver Blade now. So get on over there and look them up. And if you're on Pete's Island, get on up to there and get some commissions. You will especially make Pete happy if you commission some Silverline characters from him. He would love to draw Miss Fury for you.
I would.
Yep. So get over there and get that done. Anybody else? Anything?
I got a little update on Shadow Ghost. So yeah. So just to let everybody know, I've been collaborating with independent recording artist Capitan Wallace. The single, the audio music single, based on Shadow Ghost or inspired by it, called Drunken Tiger, it's out now on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube Music, on iTunes. It's all over the place.
Can we play it here?
We could. We could pull that with it. I can. When everybody else is giving their
let's do this. Let's everybody else say goodbye. We'll play that song, and that will be how we close out.
Okay, yeah, that'll be the
Will that work for you?
Yeah,
very
so
cool. Because I'm anxious to hear it. Yeah,
and potentially this month we'll release the actual music video, and we'll start sharing some first look photos and stuff from the set. So
the editor in me is coming out now, Curtis. So don't hate me.
Mm-hmm.
Are you back to drawing instead of playing with all this music video stuff?
Well, yes, I am.
Excellent.
I am. Absolutely.
Because all these music videos that distracts from the drawing stuff.
Well, like we talked about, it was a side quest. It was a video game where I had my main quest. The side quest came up and said, "Do you want the Elder Bow of Lothlorien?" And I was like, "Oh, the Elder Bow of Lothlorien will help me slay the dragon." So yes, and yes. I'll start working on that. I'll let you guys.
What's the name of the song?
Drunken Tiger.
There's an artist called Drunken Tiger.
Curtis, make sure once we're done here, post links on Facebook so people can go see it.
Absolutely.
So or go buy it, right? Curtis, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Sure. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for my martial arts school, Tiger Crane 805, Instagram and YouTube, and Tiger Crane Kung Fu on Facebook. And then for the comic book, Shadow Ghost Comic, one word, on Facebook and Instagram. So that's where you can find it.
Nice.
Thanks.
Pete, what about you? Where can folks find you online?
On the line, you will find me at Peter Clinton Art, and just type that into the Google, because that will just take you everywhere that I am. Yeah.
Excellent. Roby, what about you? Where can folks find you online?
Yeah, you just type in Roby Conroy. And Instagram and Facebook. You can find me there.
Excellent. Tommy, what about you? Halloween is cool?
Halloween is cool. Yep.
Over.
It is over. Yeah, sure. Just go to the Tommy Don't TikTok on TikTok. And you can also, I'm on Instagram, and it's just look under Florimonte on everywhere. It's FLORIMONTE. You should be able to find me pretty easily. I'm the only one there. So, with that spelling anyway. So,
sure
and then yeah. Thanks a lot. And then pretty soon you'll be able to see videos of Roland crashing into the woods, because I'm going to post a video. But go to infernostudios.com, and there's some links and stuff there. You'll be able to find me.
Now, if I can't roll out of bed in the morning, I'm calling you.
You're not going to be able to roll out of bed. It's going to be pretty funny.
I'm calling you, and I'm going to say, Tommy, help me. Help
me, Tommy. I'll come give you a hand. Okay.
And yeah. And I'm Roland. You can find me on all the social medias at Roland Man, or I think I'm Man Roland on Twitter. Just look for my face or caricature there, and you will see. But you'll see me mostly hanging out on Silverline. So follow all the Silverline social medias, and you'll see us. And good night, everybody. Whoops.
Low host.